Hello and welcome back, everyone. We're going to start things off a little bit different today because today is a very special episode. This is episode 100 of the top 5 PvP battles. And wow, it has been a huge journey to get 100 of these episodes done. I just want to start by saying a massive thank you and a massive shout out to every single one of you guys in the community that sent your clips in, that had your clips featured. And of course, I want to thank everybody just for tuning in and watching the top 5 for all of this time. This has been a really cool series to be a part of in ESO. And for our 100th episode, I wanted to celebrate the best fights that you guys have sent in over this entire time. I went through every single video, I watched all the fights, and these are the 5 best fights that I think you guys have sent me in no particular order over the past, 2 years plus that we've been doing this. So before we get started with our first clip, let's hear it for Santana, giving us this beautiful intro to the video here on the Stamina Nightblade. Definitely an honorable mention for a spot in this list. And without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with our first fight here, we have got Meaxy on the Stamina Sorcerer, and this is from episode 86 of the top 5 PvP battles. And Meaxy's hanging around outside this keep. There are a ton of blue players, actually just a few right now, coming outside to play with Meaxy, and Meaxy's just kind of moving around the pillars here, looking for some targets. He sees more and more blue players starting to converge on the position. And Meaxy's just kind of hugging the pole, gets a great opening on that first player there, starts feeding him a little bit of damage, but right away the rest of the blue players jumping on top of him, and you can start to see the train of blue form behind Meaxy's. He goes for a great move, going around that pillar there, gets a good Dawnbreaker on the back of the group, but right away tons of damage from the blue players. Meaxy just in absolute survival mode, streaking out of there as fast as he can, leaving behind those ball of lightning to absorb projectiles, such an important part of how he can get away from that. And Meaxy's just going to reset the buffs pretty low on resource after that and starts opening on the first player that he can find here. Gets a great stun off the sword and board, goes for the execute and finishes one player off right away, and then streaks away from the group, getting some cover behind the tree, get a few dark deals in, get that stamina back, resets his buffs. And now the rest of the blue players starting to converge. They have picked up the dead player, but Meaxy's just streaks right back towards the dead player, hits him with that Dawnbreaker, takes him down. This blue player right away trying to go for the res. Meaxy's tries to stop the res, gets the interrupt, but unfortunately a lot of pressure, and Meaxy's unable to really just sit even close to these blue players, constantly having to line of sight them, and a great move just teleporting back behind the blue again, trying to put that player back down, but Meaxy's unable to do it. So much pressure from these blues, and Meaxy has to be really careful with the positioning. The blue players start coming over the edge here. Meaxy just carefully going for that heavy attack. A beautiful streak, gets a Dawnbreaker on the back of the group, rolls through them with the Executioner there. 2 blue players in front of Meaxy, low on hit points, manages to get 1 kill, streaking right back through everybody onto the low health player there, and gets a second kill. Meaxy goes right back into the fray there, hitting a very fast bash off the end of that streak. And Meaxy's just doing great movement and kite here, just cutting the angles, using that hill to negate the range damage in the line of sight as well. But Meaxy just eventually taking more and more pressure. The enemy players dropping the ultimates as well. And Meaxy running low on gas here too. Not a lot of resource left. He goes for one more streak, gets behind this tree here, gets a little bit of resource back, and then just runs right back at the blue players. I think it wasn't the worst decision. He definitely has the hill there for cover, and then he decides to back up to the tree here. Lots of blue following. Meaxy's just going to use that speed on the Stamsork, break a little bit more distance. The ball of lightning soaking up those incoming projectiles, and right away, a beautiful combo on the first blue player there. Drops a nasty Dawnbreaker into 2 Executioners, a 3rd Executioner, every single one of them, resulting in a kill on a blue player. And he just gets a nice Dizzy Swing stun there, starts feeding him a little bit more damage, and then goes right away into the Dizzy combo and the execute. The last blue player down. Beautiful stuff. Now moving on to our next fight here. We have got an older clip. This one brought to us by DragooX. And this is from episode 17 of the top 5 PvP battles. DragooX playing some Stamina Ward and hanging out on this enemy resource here. actually a friendly resource, and just trying to keep the blue from taking it right away, picking up a few really fast kills with that Subterranean into the Dizzy combo. And Dragoo's just keeping the pressure up here. The enemy players actually dumping siege on top of the NPCs on the resource. Dragoo's trying to get a good target. Picks out this guy. He just sits there holding block, though. Dragoo drops the Dawnbreaker. Doesn't get the stun or the combo that he wants. He just retreats back inside, resetting those buffs, setting down a fresh Subterranean assault. Nice damage there on the players there that are in the doorway. And Dragoo just keeps refreshing the Subterranean, gets a really nice stun there with the Dizzy Swing into the Executioner, and that player goes down. That super old school Dizzy Swing just knocking them up into the air. Dragoo does it again, hits him with the Dawnbreaker and the Executioner, and he kills the 2 players inside, and then right away pushes back outside here. Seeing a lot of blue players, though. Dragoo's kind of out in the open, and he's just patient and waits for the blue to flip it and then charge up inside. Dragoo waits for them. He goes into his Winter Storm ultimate, gets a nice stun on that player. The Subterranean comes down into the Executioner. Dragoo right away going for pressure on the next player there. That guy's just throwing Caltrops down. He goes down to Dragoo's combo, and Dragoo's just moving around the blue players here, doing tons of damage with his Subterranean assault, getting really good coverage on them. And he tries to go for a roll, I think up the staircase there, just slides down the edge. The Subterranean again getting good coverage on the group. Dragoo's almost got another Northern Storm ready. He's popping those heavy attacks as he goes around the corners here to get some stamina back. Goes into the Northern Storm. Big pressure there with the Subterraneans coming down. You can see the blue players right away just healing that damage away. And Dragoo unable to get any kills in that Northern Storm. The blue players ready for him there. And Dragoo just retreats to the top of the tower here, getting a little bit of respite to reset his buffs. The blue players, however, a few of them very hot on his tail. Dragoo goes for a kite around the side here into the doorway, and he manages to pull just 2 blue players, goes for the Dizzy Swing, knocks him into the air, goes for the Dawnbreaker, but unfortunately unable to stick the combo out before he's got a lot of pressure coming in from the rest of these blue players here. Dragoo retreats back up to the top. Another heavy attack, just keeping that stam sustain going. There's a nice Dizzy Swing stun. The enemy player just a little slow to break it, and Dragoo punishes him, catching him at the end of the roll with another execute there. And he just keeps resetting that Subterranean assault. So much AoE damage coming out of that. He's got the Dawnbreaker ready too. He kills one player with the Subterranean, dumps the Donnie on the next one, attempting the res, bringing him down as well. Dragoo just keeping the pressure on top of this tower here, keeps feeding them the Subterranean assaults, but the blue players just don't stop coming. He's got a bunch on the ground, more and more just pouring up through the doorway there. And Dragoo manages to prevent them from rezzing, still getting that bash. Here's another Dawnbreaker. He drops it. The Subterranean goes down, trying to get the execute. That player so close to dying. And Dragoo, unfortunately, unable to stick out the kill. And I think he knows that he's not going to be able to keep those bodies down at the top there with so many blue just kind of out in the open like that. So he drops down to the bottom here and just starts working on the players down here, getting good AoE damage into them, but they're responding very defensively. Dragoo catches him with a really nasty Dizzy Swing stun there. The Subterranean comes in, a nasty crit as well, and then he's got the Dawnbreaker ready. He throws it down, unfortunately not getting any good opportunities off of that one, but at least getting the defensive stun. And Dragoo's just going for those heavy attacks as he's immobilized in the middle of them, rolling out of it, and then right away into that Subterranean combo on the first player that he can find that's a good target here. He puts good damage into him, but again, the blue players healing away very quickly here. But Dragoo just doing a great job kiting them out. He's keeping his vigor up a lot in this fight as well, and he's also keeping that range defense up with his Shimmering Shield, getting that major heroism. A big reason why he can dump so many Dawnbreakers is not only that major heroism, but when he gets kills, he'll get a lot of ultimate back. And here you can see he's got his Northern Storm ready. The enemy players go into their ultimates there. Dragoo kites down to the bottom, pulls them all in the middle, and look at that massive AoE stun on Northern Storm. 2 players going down, maybe I think actually 3 players on the stack there. And Dragoo just doing his best to hold at the top of this staircase, continuing to lay down the pressure. He's got another Dawnbreaker ready. He goes for the Subterranean Assault. There we see a big Dawnbreaker combo, another connection, and a kill. Unfortunately, even as he's standing right there, there are so many blue players going for the res. Dragoo's unable to prevent them all from getting the reses. And slowly, one by one, all of his kills get undone. The players get back up, and Dragoo just keeps pounding those buffs, kiting them out a little bit. He's definitely got the respect of this group. They know how much damage he can deal, and they're going to be, I think, a little bit more careful engaging. Dragoo's just hanging out at the side here, just trying to get, I think, a couple kills while most of the blue are at the top of the tower. Dragoo getting a nice Dawnbreaker there into the Executioner. One blue player going down. And he just keeps on moving in between the walls here. I like how he's using the walls, just lots of line of sight to kite those ranged attacks, as well as going for heavy attacks around the corners, just keeping that sustain up. And he desperately needs that sustain in this fight. He's got a lot of pressure on top of him. And he just drops down again. The blue players chasing him up to the top. Dragoo just keeps feeding them the Subterranean Assaults, getting stunned by the enemy players. He drops down to the bottom, resets his buffs again. And there is the Subterranean into his ultimate. He starts going for the Dizzy Swing, hits the Executioner. One player goes down. The other two blue on top of him getting stunned by the Northern Storm there. And Dragoo just sticks out the Executioners and finishes another one off. And then kites back up to the top here, resetting his buffs around the corner. And there we go, another Subterranean going down. This guy's attempting to go for the res. Dragoo hits him with the bash. Unable to do anything offensively, though, as right away the enemy players dump the ultimate. Dragoo's forced to just kite down to the bottom here. Lots of enemy pressure coming in. He's got to get some of those heavy attacks off, too. And you can see him just trying his best to get them around the corner, waiting for the blue to actually follow. And there he gets connects a nice heavy attack right into the Northern Storm. And then just starts feeding them the Subterraneans, and the executes another player going down to the combo there. Dragoo's just continuing to harass these guys, just moving around the inside of the keep, but constantly hitting them with big AoE smacks. And one blue player just kind of follows up to the top. Dragoo heads right down to the bottom, keeps feeding them the Subterranean Assaults. He's got his Dawnbreaker ready too, but we'll see what he does with it, if he wants to use it or save it for that Northern Storm. There's the Dawnbreaker coming down into the Subterranean. Another blue player goes down, and Dragoo's just at the top of the keep with just two blue players now. And he hits this enemy Templar that's going for the full health Radiant with the Dizzy Swing into the Subterranean, the execute, and that enemy player goes down. Dragoo just keeps the pressure up here. Lots of enemy players, though. They're throwing siege down on him from the outside as well. A nice scoop there with the Dizzy Swing into the Dawnbreaker. Another player goes down. And just two enemy blue players left at the top here. We've got the third one just kind of watching the show. Another player coming up the staircase. Dragoo does a lot of damage to that guy with the Subterranean as he comes around that corner. Chasing him down to the bottom here. The enemy player goes in stealth. And Dragoo wants to watch the bodies at the top here. He does not want to let these guys get a res again. After all the kills that he's gotten here, after all the players that he's had to beat, he finally manages to bring it down to the last player on top of the tower here. Dragoo's just feeding him the Subterraneans, feeding him the Dizzy Swings. The enemy player just holding block. Dragoo goes into his ultimate. He wants this kill. It's going to stun him through his block, and then just starts feeding him the execute. That player finally goes down, and two more blue players make their way up to the top here. Dragoo just kind of scares them a little bit, walking around the corner. He's very low on stamina here. This player that was watching, attempting to go for the res, we can't be having any of that. Dragoo very quickly killing him off. And it looks like the rest of the blue have retreated out of the tower. There's just one enemy player left in here. There's the Subterranean into the Dawnbreaker combo. Enemy player responding nicely there with the counter stun into the heals. And eventually Dragoo makes his way down to the bottom of the tower here, having fought his way out into the NPCs now. The enemy players have siege and everything. Dragoo just charges out, gets his first kill there. Right away moving on to the next player. Hits him with just a heavy attack, and then decides to go back to the player that's hanging around the siege here. And it looks like Dragoo has a friendly player that's come in to help him as well. A little too late, but that's okay. Dragoo drops the Dawnbreaker, the execute, and he finishes him off. What an incredible fight. Now, moving on to our next fight, we have got a more recent fight for you guys, and this is from episode 98, Pelican ESO on the Stamina Nightblade, right away showing us that vicious damage of the Stamblade, picking up a couple kills, and then he just pops right back into stealth off the quick hop. Love to see it. And he goes for pressure on the next player there, connecting really nicely, but the enemy player rolling at the end of the combo there. Pelican unable to finish him off, and right away Pelican is feeling the pressure from those red players. He just gets into stealth, gets very aggressive, hits the spectral arrow on that player to finish him off, and then manages to get back behind the terrain there into cloak, popped out of stealth, getting the heal off with the vigor as well. Really dangerous moment there, and Pelican just staying so aggressive right away, trying to get another kill, getting counter stunned by the red players, unable to stick it out. And look at that damage from the Stam Blade. Hits a huge amount of damage on that player with the heavy attack into the surprise attack. And there we see the ultimate into the spectral arrow. That is the nastiest combo a Nightblade can put out. Another red player going down, and Pelican managing to slink away in stealth again. As soon as he shows his face, though, lots of pressure from these guys. They quickly put about 20k damage into him, and Pelican shades out of there, getting back into a safe position on the other side of the fight here. And then he opens on the first player around the corner. He didn't see him enter stealth there, and gets huge damage into that guy. A nice stun with the surprise attack on this next player. The enemy player attempting to heal it away, and there we see a really nice snappy cancel. Pelican picking up another kill, and then he comes back around the corner here, gets a nice bash, goes for the roll into vigor, and then switches targets. A 19k spectral arrow on that guy. He goes down. Pelican connects a really nasty stun as that enemy player crit rushes in, and then gets another kill there. The enemy Sork here desperately spamming roll to get away. Pelican trying to reset, gets into stealth. The enemy Nightblade jumping on top. Pelican just goes for the counter kill on that Nightblade there. Both players low health, and Pelican managing to do a great job just kiting this stuff out, getting back into stealth, resetting, but just staying so aggressive. A huge heavy attack into the ultimate. Another red player goes down. You can see all the fireballs just shooting at him as soon as he shows his face. These red players want him dead, but Pelican is just keeping up huge pressure on this group. The meteors coming down, everything. He manages to get around the corner. He sets his shade down. He doesn't need it, though. He gets a good cut on that corner, and then he goes for the heavy attack just into a heal there, and then right away rolling a couple times back into stealth. The enemy players throwing AoE everywhere. Pelican unable to get back into stealth on these guys, and he kites his way back around, gets a good LOS on the corner to re-enter stealth, but still popped out by the stealth detect. He's starting to run a little lower on Magicka here too. Pelican getting pulled around by this enemy group, and a really good shade there to get out of a very dangerous situation. But these red are chasing hard. They definitely want revenge. And the first player comes around the corner. Pelican hits a nice heavy attack on the second player into the ultimate. The enemy player a little slow on the stun break there, and Pelican manages to get a nice kill on him, quickly teleporting back to the first kill there, and bashing to prevent the res, but a lot of red players kind of sitting around the body, and Pelican's unable to stick that out. He heads into this building here. He's got his shade in the building too, kiting back outside, trying his best to get a good offensive combo. There you see a huge amount of damage with his spectral arrow on one of the players there, but lots of traffic here. Pelican's unable to really hit the target that he wants, and he knows he's going to have to bring this to a different location. He kites his way back out a little bit further, gets a great counter stun on that first Nightblade that jumps on top of him. The enemy player there does not heal in time. Pelican connects a nice light attack, finishing him off. Really good shade to get behind the red group as they chased him around the corner here and pick off the very back player, and just resets again. There's a huge heavy attack into the surprise attack. Another light attack, surprise attack. Just like that, two enemy players going down. Pelican re-entering stealth, goes for the ultimate on the next player there, drops the spectral arrow into the light attack, surprise attack. The enemy player does a great job reading the combo, blocking all of it, and Pelican's just looking for anybody that he can get here. He definitely wants to pick up another kill. There you see he gets goes for the surprise attack attempt again. He tries to hit the shade to safety here, but unfortunately he's pulled right away by the Dragonite chains, and that is going to be GG. What a great fight though. Now moving on to the next fight here, we have got Mando PvP on the Magicka Dragonite doing a 2vx with I'm Too Good at Ball, and I'm Too Good is playing on a Magicka Nightblade. So these are arguably some of the hardest classes to be playing in PvP when you're heavily outnumbered. and this fight is just incredible. So Mando and I'm Too Good at Ball have a lot of yellow players chasing them around this rock here. I'm Too Good's got kind of the whole train behind him there, and they just kind of stack on there, the entire yellow group staying on top of I'm Too Good, and Mando goes in for a big leap there. A couple whips, actually picking up 2 kills there, quite a bit of damage with that, and they just head right back behind this tree. But look at this fight. There is literally no safe location at all here. Mando is just going to have to use a lot of that deep breath healing power and a lot of his durability and kiting in order to survive. He manages to get a good kill with the deep breath into the whip, gets behind the trees, the meteor comes down, trying to cover for I'm Too Good at Ball here. I'm Too Good's just taking a ton of pressure from the group here, and Mando's just sticking himself between the yellow players and his friendly player there to try to alleviate a little bit of pressure. Some really good healing with the deep breath right away. A nice AoE explosion. Mando just kind of trying to survive here, getting a couple heavy attacks off, and he dots up one player. Sees the opportunity to get a little bit aggressive, finishing off another yellow player there, and the yellow players really just quickly picking up all the dead that they can. Another great kill with I'm Too Good and Mando just kind of coordinating targets, and Mando just moving right away to the next player. And they managed to give themselves a little bit of ground in the back here where yellow is kind of focused on rezzing. And Mando and I'm Too Good again working together, bringing another yellow player down. Mando gets a great fossilized stun on this next player, trying to keep the pressure on him with the whips as well. Just constantly rotating the heals here, going for that block as often as he can, and trying to get those heavy attacks with the sword and board as well. Mando just goes for a bit of a kite behind the tree, goes for that leap, gets another kill, a great target coordination again with I'm Too Good to bring another player down, and then he gets an archer in the back with a really quick whip combo, and Mando gets pulled right back into the fray by the enemy Dragon Knight. Gets a nice kite behind the tree and a nice Fire Staff heavy attack off to get a little bit of magicka back, and then he heads right back towards the bodies, gets a bash to interrupt the enemy player there. I'm Too Good right away synchronizing with the kill there, and he throws down a big AoE fear on everybody. Mando goes for the leap on top of everyone that's feared. One player goes down, he dots up and whips the next player to bring him down as well, and Mando's just moving right away onto the next target here, keeping up the pressure. Those whips plus the dots that he throws out will heal him, so as long as he stays aggressive here, he can continue to keep the pressure on these enemy players, just kind of out DPSing the incoming damage with his own damage. And there you could see Mando just taking down the targets one at a time, dotting them up. He goes for the leap on the next player there. The enemy player managing to block it. He hits him with the fossilize into a couple whips. He goes down. I'm Too Good at the other side of the fight here, just defending the stack of bodies and bringing the yellow players down one at a time as well. And look at all the dead yellow players. Wow, that was an incredible turnaround. And finally, guys, for the last fight of the 100th Top 5 PvP Battle episode, we have got Malcolm on the Magicka Sorcerer, and this is a fight that was sent to me way back in episode 23, and when I made this video, I knew specifically that I wanted to use this fight. This was one that I remembered from oh so long ago. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Malcolm is hanging out on an enemy resource here, and a couple blue players wander up to the top. Malcolm hits him off the edge with the Fire Staff knockback, keeps him cursed up, and just keeps feeding him frags into the Fire Staff, trying to get the kill on this guy. He's very, very low hit points. There he finally connects the execute, a streak through everybody to get a great stun there, and then Malcolm right back up to the top, and he just goes for a few dark deals, getting a little bit of resource back, and he knows how many blue are in this tower, so he jumps off the edge here and just uses that distance as a sork. He doesn't run away. Instead, he waits for blue to jump, gets a great combo on the first player that attempts to attack him there, and then right away curses up the next player and tries to hit him with the knockback there. Both players actually knocking each other back with the stuns, and Malcolm just trying to keep the pressure on. The enemy player at the far distance there just kind of throwing down snipes. Malcolm hits him with a really nice combo at a distance. There's the execute. Is he going to get the kill? He does not manage to connect, unfortunately, and more blue players start to follow him. Malcolm goes for quite a bit of a jaunt across Cyrodiil here as a ton of blue players on horses and everything chase him to this new location. And he throws down a meteor on the one player that chases him up to the top there. The enemy player falls down from the meteor, and Malcolm quickly picks up a kill, streaking through him as well. and then quickly retreats back to the other side of the rocks here. One enemy player kind of getting away from the rest of his group. Malcolm just in a really bad situation, getting piled on by the enemy players there. He goes into his resto ultimate, a couple streaks, getting stuns on pretty much everybody with that streak succession there. And now Malcolm's finding himself very, very low resources. The blue player's hot on his tail, and he just does what Magic Sorcerer does best. He breaks a little bit more distance from the group, forcing them to split up as they chase him here. And Malcolm knows that he needs to have a good opportunity to engage with these guys. He definitely can't just charge in and hope to get some success. And there you see a few players go running off the edge. Malcolm actually getting a good streak stun there, but he himself does not jump off the edge. Instead, he moves out to the other side of the rock and manages to catch a single blue player just for a little bit of time there. Unfortunately, unable to get a combo that he wants on those guys. And then he heads back to the other side here, and these blue players are just piling up on him. No matter where he goes, he's going to have a lot of players to deal with. Malcolm goes for a couple streaks again, and really taking advantage of the unique functionality of streak for Sork to be able to get up here so easily. Drops the meteor on that player into the streak, the execute. Beautiful, beautiful play, and that guy goes down. And he died in a really, really good spot for Malcolm, because they're probably not going to res him there. And Malcolm sees all the players just kind of fencing him. He turns around, notices the blue behind him right away, goes for pressure on top of that enemy blue. This was back in the day when Dragonite wings could reflect. You can see the Fire Staff knockback getting reflected back. Malcolm manages to time a nice frags in between the wings there, getting the kill on that player. And then he finally gets knocked off this rock by the enemy player with a bow there. And Malcolm's just really smart with his height here. He's not jumping off if he doesn't need to. Instead, he's just kind of positioning himself in these nice, tight little places where he has options if he needs to retreat. There, the meteor comes down on the enemy Dragon Knight. Malcolm unable to stick the kill out. We see the enemy players going for the Radiant Destruction as well. Malcolm breaks distance from the group and just gets back up on the rocks here again, taking advantage of the speed of Sork. Getting stunned by something there. I don't know what just got him, but there's no one around him. Maybe it was a ranged stun of some sort. And there we go. The enemy Dragon Knight jumps on top. Malcolm hits him with the Fire Staff knockback, and he decides not to stick this out. The blue players are coming off the edge of that rock there. And he's just going to start poking the first player that engages with him here. They're just going for some range damage on him. Malcolm has to be careful, though. He doesn't want to get caught in the open too bad with these blue players. And now he's got them split up again. They're trickling in kind of one at a time. Malcolm goes for pressure on the first one, but right away switching to the back of the group, dropping the meteor in the middle of it there, getting good damage on everybody. There's a fantastic streak, stunning most of the blue players. I think one of them had CC immunity there. And Malcolm's just doing a great job with his positioning here. You know, where he's standing on this rock is so important, and it just allows him to pick up those easy kills just like that at a distance as a Sork. And he just uses the height of the rock to LOS the rest of the blue players. They just right away jump on top of him. The leaps, the fossilize, another leap. Malcolm gets the stun. There's the bow ult as well. But Malcolm managing to just tank that out with his shields, and gets right back behind the rock here, resetting again, going for a bit of damage with that Fire Staff attack. The Dragon Knights jumping on top of him. I swear, that's 4 enemy Dragon Knights just chasing Malcolm around here, and he's just getting locked down by them. How many times are these guys going to leap? Oh my gosh, Malcolm taking a ton of pressure here. So many dots, so many leaps. He gets stunned again by the Fossilize, such a brutal stun to deal with, and Malcolm's just trying his best to kite them out and just damage that archer in the back there. The enemy archer just kind of feeding him a few light attacks. Malcolm just bogged down by the Dragon Knights, gets that Fire Staff stun there, tries to hit him with the frags. He rolls through the DKs, streaks right back to the rock here, and they just keep leaping on top of him. I mean, he's going to eat a leap from these guys every 10 or 15 seconds. Again, breaking distance here with the streak, and a beautiful kill with the frags there. Turning around, just confident that it was going to land. He manages to get the kill, and it looks like 4 enemy Dragon Knights left on top of Malcolm here. And they are just locking him down. So many dots, so many stuns, the leaps and everything. Fantastic streak by Malcolm there just to get a good counter stun on everybody. Actually catching one of those players off guard, getting a quick kill with the frags into the execute. And now Malcolm's got just 3 left to deal with. They're still leaping on top of him. Malcolm hits a great stun there through all the enemy players. Again, gets another combo going on the next Dragon Knight. Unfortunately, he's ready for it and heals up right away. Malcolm continues to try to apply pressure. Really great use of his shield here too. He's making sure that he's not caught with his shield down, bringing another blue player down there as well. And Malcolm just starts feeding this guy the curse into the knockbacks. He wants to hit him with that frag into the execute combo, but this Magicka Dragon Knight just continuing to whip him and throw the fossilized down. This guy in desperation going for the res. Malcolm throws down the meteor, and he's got just a single enemy player left. The enemy Dragon Knight here definitely doing his best to put up a good fight. He's keeping those wings up as well. And this was back in the day when wings could reflect, so Malcolm just kind of using non-reflectable attacks by constantly cursing him up here and just waiting for the opportunity in between the wings to go for his actual damage combo. And there you see he hits him with the frags there. The curse is coming down. There's the execute and the streak. Beautiful stuff. So, of course, there's a bonus clip for you guys. And what would be a better bonus clip than that time that Sekaar wiped the entire blue faction? I just want to thank you guys all again for being a part of the top 5. You guys made this happen. I mean, all I do is put commentary over top of your guys' amazing fights. So thank you, everyone, from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to even do a series like this. And I'm absolutely flattered and kind of amazed that we made it to 100 episodes. Of course, if you guys want to send in your own clips, you can send them to KristoferESO@hotmail.com. Check me out on Twitch. Check me out on Twitter. Check out my website, KristoferESO.com, for written guides to my builds, a hub for my content. We are sponsored by What the Fast. They're a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite game. A link down below for you guys. And last but not least, a massive thank you and shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I wouldn't have been able to make it to 100 episodes, so thank you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching. As always, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.